Hey, what's up guys? WRG here with another video. So today I'm really excited. I'm going to be launching the second episode of my series, the Mastering series, and we're going to be doing today the Glock 43. So this is personally one of my favorite guns to carry. It's more than adequate, I think, if you customize it the right way in terms of firepower. But let me just break down what we're going to be going over today. And like always, you're able to skip through. I'll leave links in the description so that you could jump to whatever section you want to in this video. So one's going to be brief history of the firearm. Two is going to be unboxing, basically what you get in the box when you buy it. Three are going to be the specifications of the firearm. Four is going to be the assembly and disassembly of the firearm. Five is going to be the maintenance of this firearm and the operation of this firearm. Six is going to be the accessories of this firearm and how to customize it. I'll tell you guys how I personally like to customize it and what other options are out there available to you, depending on what your needs might be with the firearm. Next is going to be performance. I will be taking it out into the field. It's one of my favorite parts of the test. And I'm going to be testing accuracy, maximum effective range, and basically what you can do with this gun and what you could expect from it. Next is going to be the appearance and ergonomics of the firearm. 9 is going to be my constructive criticism, what I feel like can be improved on this firearm, and also some competitive options. The Glock 43 might not be the right gun for you. Maybe there's other options out there that might be a little cheaper or more expensive based on what your needs might be. And then lastly, my 10 is going to be my concluding thoughts on the firearm and my final impressions. So if that's what you're looking for, you definitely came to the right place. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe if you do enjoy this series. And without further ado, let's get started. All right, guys, so this is my personal Glock 43. Never mind the customizations. We're definitely going to get to that at a later point in the video. But first, I wanted to start off with a brief history of the Glock company itself and the evolution of the Glock 43, which I find to be pretty interesting. Now, Gaston Glock was an Austrian engineer who founded the company in 1980 and patented his first gun, the Glock 17, in 1981. Now, crazy story I came across was in July of 1999, Glock's tax advisor named Charles Irwit hired a French mercenary to murder Glock with a hammer in a car parking lot. Now, this apparently was an attempt to cover up some embezzlement of millions of dollars he was stealing from the Glock company. Now, although Glock's injuries were pretty severe, it included like 7 wounds to the head and lost about 1 liter of blood, he was still able to fend off the attacker by striking him twice. Now, that's one tough SOB to fight a hitman. Now, to his credit, also, I was learning that the hitman was like 67 years old, so pretty crazy. He must have been doing it for quite some time. Now, everyone knows that Glock has been widely successful. They supply the military, law enforcement, and civilians all around the world. And in 2014, they decided to cater to the civilian market and release the Glock 42. Now, this is a single stack 380. It's a little smaller than this one that you're looking at now. And it's, pretty successful, I would say. Only drawbacks are, compared to other 380s in the market, it is a little bigger, a little heavier than other people would like. So, the people kept asking for something better. And, back in 2011, Ruger had released the LC9, which is a single stack 9mm. And it was very popular. A lot of people liked it. And I think it snowballed this whole craze for single stack 9mm for concealed carriers. So the Mavericks at Glock put their heads together and blessed us with the Glock 43. And needless to say, it was a hit. Okay, so unboxing the 43. This is what you're going to get. So this is my firearm. Let's make sure. It's been safety checked. Empty magazine, nothing in the chamber. Now, first thing you'll notice is that there's no interchangeable back straps here. A lot of you guys that are familiar with the Gen 4 Glocks will think that they usually do come with back straps, to change for different hand sizes. But for the 43, which is supposed to be, very compact, it does not come with it. I guess one size fits all in this case. Now, you do get 2 magazines. Again, unlike Gen 4s, which usually come with 3. And you have 2 type of base plates that come with these. You have one, which is a flat base plate here. So it's going to be obviously a little shorter on the gun. And then you have an extended or pinky extension, which does not increase the capacity of your gun, but does give your pinky something to hold on to. I obviously took that off and went with Terran Tactical base plates. This gives me 2 extra rounds, plus the added comfort of gripping the entire firearm, which is pretty nice. I'll demonstrate that for you guys now. So yeah, I get a full grip as opposed to having a pinky out. So that's pretty helpful. Obviously, it doesn't come with any hollow points. These are Hornady Critical Defense. But it does come with a cleaning rod, just like any other Glock. So it's pretty helpful. Some guns or other companies do not come with any cleaning supplies, so it's pretty nice they do that. You also have this piece here, which is helpful for loading your magazines. Lock, which is pretty standard for any handgun that you're going to buy. And very simple. In case you guys are not familiar, you just run it right through and lock it up. You have your safety manual that it comes with. Definitely recommend you guys go through and check that out. You have your, in my case, standard sights from the Glock, which I bought. And I changed those out. I get Trijicon HD night sights, which I have on my Glock 19. And I like the consistency of having the same sights on my guns so that it's nothing new for me and I'm familiar with it. I think it's a pretty good philosophy to follow. And then lastly, you have your test fire. So you know that your gun was function checked before it left the factory with Glock. And that's pretty much everything you get inside. Okay, so as for the specifications of the Glock 43, the length of the slide is 6.26 inches. And the sight radius, which is just from one side to the front sight to the back sight, is 5.2 inches. Now the height is 4.25 inches in height. And the barrel length itself is 3.39 inches. Now the gun unloaded weighs 509 grams or 17.95 ounces, and loaded is 634 grams or 22.36 ounces. Now the trigger pull on these is supposed to be 5.5 pounds, although I've heard they are a little heavier. I don't have a tool for measuring that with me. And the capacity is 6 rounds, standard. Now, for comparison, I have here a Glock 19, so you guys could tell the differences, because from a single stack to a double stack. So here on your left-hand side, you have the Glock 43, and then here you have the Glock 19. And you can see the differences in width are pretty substantial, along with the length, and along with the height of the gun. But that's pretty much it for the specifications. Alright guys, so assembling and disassembling the Glock 43 is a very simple process. If you're familiar with any other Glock, it's the same thing. And never mind my gloves, I'm going out to dinner soon, so I didn't want to get my hands full of lead. And I would actually recommend that you guys do that, wear gloves. It's easy to clean your hands on off, but if not, you just wash your hands thoroughly afterwards. So really quick guys, make sure your gun is safety checked, so no magazine. Open and check that there's no round in the chamber. So in my case there isn't. Fire the weapon in a safe direction. Pull down on both sides, these levers here, while at the same time pulling the slide back. And then you could push the slide forward. And then you remove the spring and pop out the barrel. And then you're ready to clean or do whatever you have to do. So put it back in, very simple process. You want to insert the barrel, put the spring back in, and make sure you put it to the second step. I'm going to do a close-up so you guys can check that out. And then what you'll do is you'll slide, put your slide right back on, and rack the slide, make sure it's working well. Point the gun in a safe direction, fire, and your Glock 43 is ready to go. Okay, so cleaning your Glock 43 is a very simple process, and first thing you want to do is safety check, like always. So empty the magazine, make sure there's not a round in the chamber, which there isn't in this case, and then you want to make sure you want to have your supplies ready, right? So I like to use ram oil, but you guys can use whatever you'd like. Basically, you want something that cleans, lubricates, and protects against rust, right? So that's what ram oil does for me, so I particularly like it. I use the brush that comes with the Glock. And I also have a small coffee straw that I like to use in order to get like precise squeezes for the ram oil, and just an old toothbrush that I use, obviously dedicated for cleaning only. So let's disassemble the gun and get started. So point the gun in the safe direction. We already checked that it was unloaded. So once you've disassembled the gun, you can start wherever you like. I like to start with the slide, so let's start with the slide. I'll place my coffee straw in, and I don't like to drench it. I just like to get a few nice precise shots. And usually what I'll do actually is have a paper towel on top of my working space so that I'm not really dirtying this up too much. And then with my toothbrush, I just basically like to clean the area out. And I will have some other paper towels available. And once I've cleaned this out thoroughly and left it slightly lubricated, I'll be done with the slide. I'm sorry, the frame. And now the slide, very simple process. Wipe it down with a little rem oil and brush it up. You want to try to get any, you'll notice sometimes small gold flakes, and that's from the brass of your casings. So you want to clean those out, and my 43 is actually pretty clean. Cleaned it pretty recently. So for demonstration purposes, you won't get too much out of it. So I'll spray down the spring. Also make sure I can clean that out as best I can. That's done. And then lastly, my barrel, right? So we're going to lubricate and clean on the outside, and then obviously on the inside. So I'll clean out the outside. Very simple. I'll use my brush. And basically you want to go in, run it all the way through. And the proper way is you'll take this out, unscrew it, and then remove. And that way you don't run any contaminants back through your barrel. And then you can clean out your brush and repeat. And essentially that's pretty much it. So putting it back together, very simple. Once again, barrel goes back inside. Spring to the second step. And then we rack the slide. And your Glock 43 should be good to go. If you guys have any questions or comments, maybe you guys do things a little differently, leave that below so I can check it out. Okay guys, so in terms of accessories for the Glock 43 or customizations, first let's safety check, make sure I'm empty, which I am. Now, the first thing I wanted to do was go ahead and change out the sights. Now, Glock has a reputation for having plastic, breakable, cheap sights, and a lot of people complain about it, but they're very persistent in keeping their sights. So, but to their credit, they are usable. A lot of people use them and don't have any issues with them. I used them for years, but I decided I wanted to upgrade. So what I did is go ahead and go with the Trijicon HD night sights, which I also have on my Glock 43. And you can tell it's pretty easy to catch that orange. I particularly really like it. I think it's very visible and very quick to get sights on your target with. And, pretty much I've been pretty happy with them. They are a little pricey, but I do think they're worth it. Also on the back, you can see a really hard angle. And basically with that hard angle, you could use this to catch your belt or your jeans in order to rack the slide for one-handed manipulations, which is really difficult on the original Glock sights, and you could break them. So another thing I went ahead and did was the accelerator cuts. You can see here, or the stippling. This was by Terran Tactical, along with carry stipple, which you can notice here in the back and in the front. So stippling done here, and also under. Notice, yep. So, so with the stippling there, it really helps to get a good grip. I did not choose to stipple here, and that's not part of their carry stipple. And the whole idea behind a carry stipple is to make it comfortable for you to carry, right? So you don't want sandpaper rubbing against your stomach like I do on one of my Glock 19s. It's fully stippled and it's not the most comfortable to hold all day. But with this, it feels like really nice, and still you get a really nice firm grip on it, which I really appreciate. Let me see what else I could go into. So I also had the base plates done. So if you notice here, the base plates are by Terran Tactical, and this gives you just a little something extra in the magazine, because if you compare your gun to like the Smith & Wesson Shield, for example, let me see if I get it to focus for you guys. There it is. So if the Smith & Wesson Shield, for example, has like an extra round, so now with this magazine, I have a +2, so that gives my total magazine capacity of 8 rounds, plus 1 in the chamber, 9 rounds I'm holding. And then I also have my spare, which has a +1. So usually people do the opposite. They like to have the spare with a higher capacity, but I tend to like the +2. I can still conceal it really well, and at the same time, it gives me that extra grip I need. Now, in terms of holster selection, I'm really happy with multi-holsters. You can catch them on Facebook or their website. They're really good, very good quality. And I also bought my spare mag from multi-holsters as well. This one I got brand new. This one actually got used on Amazon, and I saved a few bucks with that. But these are really cool because they're adjustable, and it's a really big improvement over my holster that I had before. I'll show you guys that now. But this one, just so you guys could see, that thing is not coming out, but with a nice firm pull, it definitely will. Now, on the contrary, my DeSantis hybrid holster was pretty much a nightmare since I got it. Reason is, the gun fits nicely, but it also falls out nicely. It doesn't really take much effort for this gun to slide out, and that's not something I really look for in a holster. Something as simple as going to the bathroom could be a crisis if this thing falls out. Also, I noticed if I ever walk quickly or run, you would hear this, which is pretty annoying, and it also doesn't inspire confidence. You feel like this gun's gonna fall out at any moment. So as far as I'm concerned, that holster is not very useful, but this one is. So really happy with this one. And then in terms of my ammunition selection, I went ahead and got Hornady Critical Defense. And the reason I went ahead and got this one, it's 115 grain. It's not the most powerful 9mm cartridge available, but it seems to have pretty good performance. And 115 grain is pretty much the same weight as what most of us train with, which is 115 grain target loads. So you have that familiarity, and you're also going to be able to shoot a little flatter and stay on target a little easier than if you had, like, let's say, a +P round. But if you want ultimate power, I'd recommend 124 grain +Ps. But for me, this definitely serves the job. As you could tell, I bought quite a few of them, and that's because this isn't my only 9mm. But I'm very happy with this ammunition. It cycles well. I haven't had any problems with it, so that's what I went ahead and got. This is just my setup out at my local county range. Got my ammo on deck. So this is at 7 yards, and I have a 6-inch reactive target that I'll be shooting at. So generally the gun was really pleasant to shoot. I really enjoyed it. One thing you will notice is that my shots are landing on the left side. So my group was a little off. Although it was precise, it was not accurate. So remember, precision is being consistent, and accurate is getting what you're aiming at. So I was definitely more on the left side, and it definitely warranted some further investigation, because usually at 7 yards I'm pretty on with my shots. So what I decided to do is put up another target and give it around, I think it was like 24 shots. I did 3 8-round magazines, and you could tell up with the bird's eye view of my rear sight, there's more space on the left than the right. So I think my sights were actually off. So this is me at 15 yards, and what I had to do was a little bit of a hold in order to get my shots on accurately. So I was kind of holding on my rear sight in order to get my shots centered. But generally I was pretty satisfied with my 15-yard shots. This again is a 6-inch reactive target, so 6-inch group at 15 yards with this compact gun is pretty decent in my book. And also you'll notice that I'm limp wristing, and I normally try not to do that, especially in my training, but here I was just trying to get like uber precise shots, and something that happened. Maybe it's one of my shortcomings, something I definitely need to work on, having a nice firm grip and getting accurate shots. But yeah, that's why you see that. Usually I try not to do that in my shooting. So here I'm going to give you guys a close-up of that 15-yard target, show you guys how it did. And you can see all these shots were on. So here's 25 yards. And I sped this up for you guys because I really had to take my time with these 25-yard shots, especially knowing that my sights were slightly off. I definitely had to hold a little bit. But as you could tell in a few seconds, I didn't quite hold enough. So this is my long walk. So that white paper is an 8x11 regular computer paper, and you can tell all my shots were on the left half of it. So I think that's a pretty decent group for 25 yards considering this gun. There is one shot missing, so that's 7 yards. It's 7 shots plus 1 flyer. Okay, so in terms of ergonomics of the Glock 43, you have to understand the philosophy of use and why they're designed it the way they did. So, for example, you have a pinky flying out here, and I think Glock understood that that's probably not the most comfortable and best way to shoot, but at the same time, they wanted concealment with this firearm, and that's basically what they gave you. In my particular case, I don't find it a big deal to add a +2 base plate, and in order to have better control of my firearm. But Glock could have maybe included that or done something similar to the Smith & Wesson Shield, which does give you an extended magazine. But anyways, the way it comes is not too bad. If you really want concealment, you could go ahead and use that flat base plate. In terms of the Gen 4 features, like the magazine release, I find that pretty useful. I enjoy that. And obviously my customizations are intended to make it more ergonomic. So obviously it has its shortcomings, which is why I need to do that. So I do have more stippling and up here, and I believe that does make a big difference. They could have maybe done something like that to improve the grip of the gun, but at the same time, each user could customize it as he wishes, and we want to keep that third-party market alive. So Glock's definitely helping with that. What else could I tell you? The sights, again, I changed them out, and I believe that the Trijicon HD night sights do make a big difference. The Glock sights were not the friendliest to use. But aside from that, I mean, you're getting a lot of reliability. You do not have anything to mount a light in the front, although obviously there's third-party companies that will provide you with the option to add a light, although it does not seem like it's intended for it because there's no rail or anything to really attach up front for your light. I believe most companies will use the trigger guard to attach the light. And aside from that, that's pretty much it. The trigger, let me make sure the gun is unloaded, empty. So let's check out the trigger pull. So you have all this slack once the safety's initiated, and then you have a heavy wall. Geez, I didn't even think I was going to be able to pull it from this angle. Let's try it again. Obviously, holding it normally, it's not a big deal. But try pulling your trigger like this. It's not the most comfortable. But yeah, it does pull a little heavy. Definitely could use a little finessing, I think. The original Glock trigger maybe feels like 7 pounds, but I don't have anything to measure it with me. You do have these serrations here in the back, which I find very useful. A lot of people like to do these front serrations, although I don't think it's a big deal, to do that for press checking. But at the same time, it doesn't really hurt the gun either. So why not just go ahead and do that? I believe the Glock 19 or 17 had an addition with front serrations that came from Glock. And I don't understand why they just didn't incorporate that into the newer ones, but that's for another video. Aside from that, ergonomically holds pretty well. I do have a little bit of space here up front to clear the muzzle, for the muzzle to be clear with my thumb, which is pretty nice. And overall, it's a Glock. It's very reliable and functions pretty well. It's not a beauty queen, but that's not why we paid $500. I think we just wanted something that works well and is ergonomic and has a good reputation, and that's exactly what Glock delivered. Okay, so you're thinking about getting the Glock 43 and you want to consider some competitive options, right? So just to name a few that we could go over, we had the Beretta BU9 Nano. It's a striker fired, also just like the Glock 43, 6+1. The weight is 1 pound and 4.48 ounces empty, and you're looking at $450 MSRP. Next up, we have the Car CM9. Again, 6+1, 1 pound 8 ounces. And basically we have a price point of $549, so pretty similar. And then the trigger pull, 6 pounds and 4.5 ounces for this one, as opposed to our Glock, which let's see, guns and ammo had clocked in around 8 pounds and 6 ounces. Wow, pretty heavy. Yeah, I thought it was pretty heavy when I got it. You have the Kel-Tec PF9, which holds 7+1. Not bad. So we have a little improvement there in capacity, and an MSRP of $333. So pretty cheap in my opinion, and not a bad value. But Kel-Tec does have their reputation. And then you have the Ruger LC9, which supposedly started this whole thing of single stack 9mm for $449. 7+1 capacity, so not bad. Let's see, we have the SIG P290 RS, another one you might want to consider. MSRP of $513, 6+1, and then it has an extended magazine of 8+1. So not bad. You have the Smith & Wesson Shield that we're all familiar with, 7+1 rounds standard, and then 8+1 rounds is with the extended. So definitely comes out the box, you know, better capacity. And I think this is the biggest competitor for the Glock 43, in my opinion, is the Smith & Wesson Shield. MSRP $449. Earlier this year, I got my friend one with the rebate for $220 from Palmetto State Armory. Pretty crazy deal. So, I mean, these things were going for like high point prices, pretty much. And they're really quality tested guns. So for half the price of a Glock, you know, I don't blame you if you wanted to go with the Smith & Wesson Shield. Springfield XDs, you know, they have a pretty good reputation, 7+1 rounds, MSRP $599. Don't have too much experience with that, to be honest. You also have the Taurus 709 Slim, very nice gun, 7+1 rounds, MSRP $302. Jeez. And then also, again, Taurus does have their iffy reputation to consider. Then you have the Walther PPS, 7+1 rounds. Also comes with an extended magazine of 8+1 and an MSRP of $599. So those are just a few you want to consider. Now, again, Glock 43 final impressions. I'm very happy with this gun. I'm glad I went with this one. Now, again, I'm very familiar with Glock. I've owned Glocks before. My first gun is a Glock 19, so it was only natural that I kept with Glock. And I know the assembly, disassembly, I know the workings of this gun inside and out. I could do manipulations. I could do anything I really need to do with this gun. I could do it very easily. It's pretty much by nature. And that's the reason I wanted to stay with Glock. The capacity wasn't going to hold me back. And also the price point being a little higher than other single stack 9s wasn't going to hold me back either. I was willing to save up the money and get it done and also customize the gun the way I really wanted to. So I have to say, in the end, it's been very reliable. It's been very accurate. And for what it is, I'm very happy with it. So the Glock 43 has definitely served its purpose with me. And I continue to carry it, not daily, but every so often. I like to alternate it with the Glock 43. And again, it depends on what I'm wearing that day and what I might be doing. So it definitely fits its purpose. And I'm very happy with it. So thanks again for watching, guys. Please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff if you enjoyed. And again, I'm continuing this mastering series. And if you have any questions, just leave them down below. Thanks again for watching. WRG out.